Here's how it all started. If you were up at 2 a.m. in the morning in the 80s, you were bombarded with infomercials from Carlton Sheets and Tommy Vood telling you how much money you can make in the real estate business with no money down, as they sat on their fancy cars and yachts with a bottle of champagne, and pretty girls in bikinis agreeing with every word they said. One day Dr. Winborn said to himself, you can do this. Come explore with us the endless possibilities of making money in real estate. Allow Dr. Winborn the opportunity to make the unknown known. Let him show you what they don't teach you in real estate school and what the banks and mortgage companies don't want you to know.
353 Monroe Street, Brooklyn, New York. This is the very first house that he purchased. It was purchased from the city of New York at their city auction. A miracle happened. He won the bid at the minimum asking price of $1,000. He took the $250 that he borrowed from his uncle and paid the down payment. He had 30 days to dig up another $750 to close. 3 months after he closed, he sold it for $25,000 to a contractor from his church.
418 Washington Avenue, Montclair, New Jersey. He brokered a mortgage paper deal where he sold $10 million of non-performing notes to a mortgage bank, Access Capital, from another mortgage bank, investors and lenders, that was closing. This house was on that list. He had them take this house off the list and sell it to him. They gave it to him for $113K. Years later it sold for $379K, a profit of almost $260K.
This house was purchased for only $25K. Dr. Winborn put a mortgage on it for $35K. So, at closing, after closing costs, points, and all of the out-of-pocket expenses, he left with a 14-room, 2.5 bathrooms, 8 bedrooms house, and a check for $7,500K. He then took out a construction loan to finish the rehab, and sold it for over $110K.
This house was owned by his uncle that lent him the $250 to do his very first deal. His uncle no longer wanted to stay there after the passing of another family member. By this time, Dr. Winborn had proven himself and he saw what he had did with the $250. So, he was instructed to do with it whatever he wanted. But if he sold it, he wants $5K. Dr. Winborn sold it to a young couple with a newborn baby for $10K over the debt. No money down and $55K in equity for them to refi and cash it out. Property flipping is a real estate investment strategy where an investor buys a property, makes improvements, and sells it for a profit within a short period of time. The goal is to buy low and sell high, usually within a few months to a year. 43 Carnegie Avenue, East Orange, New Jersey. Purchased for $75K as part of a package deal for 3 houses, all on Carnegie Avenue, in East Orange, New Jersey. Sold for $150K. Buyer got a non-conforming loan with an 80% LTV which brought $120K to the table. He paid the closing cost and points and held a seller's second mortgage for 60 months at $600 a month. 41 Carnegie Avenue, East Orange, New Jersey. Purchased for $75K as part of a package deal for 3 houses, all on Carnegie Avenue, in East Orange, New Jersey. Sold for $150K. Buyer got a non-conforming loan with an 80% LTV which brought $120 to the table. I paid the closing cost and points and held a seller's second mortgage for 60 months at $600 a month. 36 Carnegie Avenue, East Orange, New Jersey. Purchased for $75K as part of a package deal for 3 houses, all on Carnegie Avenue, in East Orange, New Jersey. Sold for $150K. Buyer got a non-conforming loan with an 80% LTV which brought $120 to the table. I paid the closing cost and points and held a seller's second mortgage for 60 months at $600 a month.
24 Carolina Street, Irvington, NJ. One day a lawyer shows up at the sheriff's sale auction and says, "This house had a fire in it and my client, the bank, doesn't want it. And the first $30K can have it." No one made a move, but I decided to go and check the house out myself. It turns out that the fire was a cooking fire in the kitchen. The fire department did more damage than the fire. I went straight to the lawyer's office to make a deal. I ended up paying the attorney his fee that the bank owed him in the sum of $1,900. And they deeded the house to me on the spot. After putting about $10,000 in repairs into the house, I sold it to a schoolteacher 3 months later for $106,000.00.
516 Orange Street, Newark, New Jersey. This mixed property, consisting of 4 apartments and a restaurant, was given to me by an appraiser that I worked with on a regular basis. Here's the deal, this is what we want, everything over that is yours to keep. So, Dr. Winborn was able to flip this property, made a quick $30,000 without ever taking title. And this was a no money down deal for the borrower. We used hard money to do the financing. The only money out of the borrower's pocket was to pay for his insurance.
Real estate consultants specialize in aiding investors with property financial analysis and portfolio strategy. A real estate locator, locate investors and or financing for the purchase and development and resale of property.
228 North 2nd Street, Newark, New Jersey. This 3-family house in Newark was another quick flip given to Dr. Winborn by another group of his business associates. As the consultant for this group, he obtained the buyer, structured a deal that was win-win for both parties. The couple was able to purchase this house without a down payment, and with a seller's second, which was forgiven after the first payment.
40 Linden Street, Roselle, New Jersey. He purchased from his appraiser, then sold it 2 months later for a quick $25,000 profit to a client that was also doing a refi on his primary home at the time. The client used this house as a rooming house where he rented the 4 bedrooms for $200 a week, a total of $800 a week and $3,200 a month. His mortgage payment was less than $1,000, giving him just about $2,200 a month in net profit.
336 Florence Avenue, Hillside, New Jersey. His accountant hired him to walk him through several deals he had on the table, being offered to him by one of his clients. This is what I call a friendly deal. If you notice the contract, there is no money down. You see that the only money that is needed can be paid at closing. This was financed by a bank that is an asset lender, which means if the final debt is at a 60%, 65% LTV, they will pretty much fund the deal. 305 West 5th Street, Rosedale, New Jersey. My accountant hired me to walk him through several deals he had on the table, being offered to him by one of his clients. This is what I call a friendly deal. If you notice the contract, there is no money down. You see that the only money that is needed can be paid at closing. This was financed by a bank that is an asset lender, which means if the final debt is at a 60%, 65% LTV, they will pretty much fund the deal.
He was hired by the owner of an armed security firm who was looking to invest in real estate. The challenge was that he was not interested in flipping properties, but looking to hold them and collect rental income. We were unable to go straight to a commercial bank, but I was able to secure a hard money deal. This deal was for 36 months with interest-only payments that ballooned at the end of the 36 months. The exit strategy was to refi at the end of the 36 months into a conventional mortgage and have the rental income pay the mortgage over the next 30 years. This was funded by ABL Funding Inc.
643 South 19th Street. He was hired by the owner of an armed security firm for a second deal. Like the first deal, they were looking to invest in real estate. Again, the challenge was that he was not interested in flipping properties, but looking to hold them and collect rental income. We were unable to go straight to a commercial bank, but they were able to secure a hard money deal. This deal was for 36 months with interest-only payments that ballooned at the end of the 36 months. The exit strategy was to refi at the end of the 36 months into a conventional mortgage and have the rental income pay the mortgage over the next 30 years. This was funded by Era Ming Finance in New Jersey.
A foreclosure consultant is a professional who advises homeowners facing foreclosure, helping them navigate the process by potentially negotiating with lenders, exploring loan modification options, or seeking other strategies to prevent or delay a foreclosure sale, often in exchange for a fee.
Clearmont Street, Irvington, New Jersey foreclosure case. In this case, the tenants had not been paying their rent, which caused the owner to be behind in the mortgage payment. The owner did not really care about the property and had offered it to the tenants for purchase. First, I had to go in and engage the court and the banks to slow down the foreclosure process. Secondly, then we had to make the tenants mortgageable to buy this house. At the end of the day, the owner, we were able to save the property. The tenants are now the owners, and they received a check at closing in the sum of $10,000.
In this case, I never met the client in person. I was recommended to him to help with his case. I spoke with him on the phone. He explained the situation to me. I saw that even though he was already removed from the property, I could still help him with his foreclosure defense. I told him what I would do if I was him, as a pro se litigant in a foreclosure dispute. Unaware that in the state of Michigan you must be represented by an attorney. He contacted an attorney who had no idea how to argue the defenses I gave to the client. So, I had to teach the attorney the law concerning the dynamics of a mortgage note promissory note, which was executed at the original closing. The attorney got it, went into court with me on his speed dial, and we won the case. And the client was allowed back into his property. Lotus Circle, Mammoth County, New Jersey foreclosure case. In this case, a single woman who found herself in a bit of a financial challenge. She sought to refinance her home to save it from foreclosure. Unfortunately, she did business with a group that offered her a refinance, but instead paid the house off and sold it to themselves, and made the homeowner a tenant in her own home without her knowledge or consent. She was only made aware of the situation when she went to refi, and they informed her she was not on the title. After a 4-year battle with the courts and the banks, and at times with the client's previous attorneys. Although it was 5 years since the crooks first tried to evict the client, we did indeed lose this case because of a settlement agreement an attorney had her sign before we became involved.
North Maple Street, East Orange, New Jersey. In this case, the client ran her business from out of the home. Needless to say, being foreclosed on would not only destroy their living situation, but it would also put them out of business. We were able to argue that the plaintiff had no standing in the controversy, and that they had no legal right to foreclose because they were simply a collection agency. We were able to show the court that after many attempts to modify the mortgage, the plaintiff would not because the client didn't qualify for a modification, but because the plaintiff did not have the authority to modify the note, which proves they didn't have the authority to foreclose. We won this case.
Jamaica, Queens, New York foreclosure case. This was another case where the homeowner struggled for years to stay on top on their commitment concerning their mortgage. 10 years the house went in and out of foreclosure over a 10-year period. It would go in and I would get it out at least 3 times. The homeowner eventually decided to sell the property and move south. I was able to find a buyer that purchased the property at market value, and the homeowner went south over $150,000 to start a new life.